Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter as NYJ Mike. I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. And Matt, we finally get to have a happy podcast and a YouTube video. The New York Jets break a 5-game losing streak. They temporarily save this season. They temporarily save the franchise. They beat the Texans 21-13 on Thursday night, move to 3-6, and show us what we've been waiting to see for the last couple months.
Yeah, the 5-game losing streak began before MLB playoffs even started. Like the Jets haven't won a game since September 17th, and they get it done. And Mike, you brought up exactly what I was going to start with. This is what it should have looked like. This is what we expected it to look like. And to be honest, through 3 games, you get to 2-1, you see glimpses of it, and then the losing streak is just a combination of bad play, bad coaching, bad luck. Balls don't bounce your way. But the Jets are what their record was. And Mike, going into this game, most fans, I would actually say most fans were on the you got to tank, lose this game.
From what we were seeing, yeah. Yes.
And Mike is probably the most optimistic fan on Twitter. Again, I'm leaning much towards Mike. I didn't want to lose that game. And outside of one bad drive by the defense, the offense clicked in the second half. Everything felt right. And it was almost outside of the Corley fumble, which we'll get to. It was almost like a dominating second half performance where I was never in doubt after that touchdown catch. So, Mike, a lot of spots to get to. Where do you want to begin?
No, you touched on a lot of good stuff, Matt. The one, it's obviously frustrating the Jets. You play this game, you look good, how we expected, and you already have 6 losses, which is super frustrating. But it wasn't that far off from what we saw. This was probably, to your point, one of the best complementary football games the Jets have played in years, where everyone played well. The special teams didn't destroy you. Morstead had a great punt. Defense was good and clutch. You tweeted out after the roughing the kicker penalty on Watts. The Jets defense stopped them 3 and out again, and then they got lucky and the Texans missed a field goal. And the offense was humming in the second half. We watched Aaron Rodgers throw 3 touchdowns in a half. It's just so fun.
And that's, again, after the Pittsburgh game, we both tweeted out, look, things can change in the final 10 weeks. We think you got to run it back. We think he's done enough and shown enough that it's still there. And I don't know what other option you're going to have in 2025. And Mike, when I tell you, I got more hate for that tweet than I've ever had in my entire life on Twitter. And it was all, again, post-Pittsburgh game. So then the Jets drop a game to New England, and you think that the reaction would even be worse, but you win one game, and now everybody's way back on, oh, yeah, Rodgers is still kind of the guy. That is why you need to be patient and let the games play out. Of course, we want the quick reactionary take, but again, we'll get into another thing that we have to talk about, which is Sauce Gardner. Can you let things play out? And at the end of the year, if things really were like 4-13 and Rodgers looked terrible, of course you can have a different path in 2025. But we weren't there yet. And again, 3-6, the road ahead is possible, Mike. Just I'm happy that Rodgers is playing well enough now that people understand you can't just give up on this guy when he had 500 days of not playing football. He didn't play for 500 days, and he's 40 years old. Now he gets back in the rhythm. We see what he can be, and the 3 touchdown passes, his stats look great. Oh, yeah, I can't wait, man.
He's on pace for 30 touchdowns and 4,000 yards, and we're like, oh, we need to get another guy. I just don't. But it is what it is. And listen, you're 2-6. People get frustrated, especially when you're missing the playoffs for 13 years in a row. The Jets playoff streak could attend a Diddy party. Playoff drought. It's tough. But every time I do that, Matt's like, dude, now he doesn't want to edit the podcast.
No, I would never edit that out.
No, I know, but now you thought about it.
No, there's been like 2 times ever we'd had to edit out the podcast.
Last week was one of them.
One was last week.
It was really funny. I don't know. We'll tell that story a different time. It's not that bad, but
so
it's fun.
So talk about Garrett for a moment, Mike, because The narrative around Garrett, very much so in the first 4 to 5 weeks, is did we overhype him? Did we oversell Garrett? And my opinion has always been, let's see what he can do with a real quarterback. Because if he keeps the production he's had, he's a high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1, and he had Zach Wilson in a broken offense the entire time. The last 4 games, Garrett Wilson has popped off, and I think he's really cleaned that narrative. Is he's not a wide receiver 2. You bring in Devontae Adams here, now he gets less one-on-one or less, double team matchups, having a safety come over to his side of the field. He's been a wide receiver 1 for 4 weeks, and Mike, holy hell, he popped off in one of the greatest catches you'll ever see in a football game. Just a perfect game for Garrett Wilson, then capped off by a Devontae Adams touchdown.
Yeah, Matt, Garrett Wilson caught 2 touchdowns and used 2 combined hands.
Did you tweet that yet? It's a good tweet.
I didn't tweet it. I should have done it. That's actually smart.
That is a good tweet.
Dude, I'm looking at the stats. I mean, shit. And Garrett's on pace for like 114 catches, 1,270 yards, 10 touchdowns.
I think it was more. I think you tweeted it was 123 catches.
I think it's 114. I think that's the actual number. Yeah. But it's just beautiful. And it's just what we wanted to see. And, and then the Devontae just putting dudes on skates at the line of scrimmage. A little bit of how you doing. Get behind him.
Can I say though, friend of the program, I had a tweet drafted up. I didn't send it because I was like, I don't want to get into a fight with everybody. He was like, he posted yesterday, again, on a Friday, post the game. He's like, the Jets need to target Garrett Wilson more. And I'm like, he has the most targets in the NFL by 21 heading into the Sunday of this week. So he is being targeted a lot. So I don't know if the Jets need to force feed him even more, but the punchline is good things happen when you get the ball to Garrett Wilson. I thought Breece Hall ran pretty well. It seemed like the offensive line finally had like a push, which was cool. Finally, in the game
was really right after the Texans got the what was the sequence? Breece Hall's fumble was
strip sack from Stroud. Then we run the first play to the right side, and Breece fumbles. But like, this is really important. This is why football is so weird. It's a 3-hour game. I think there's actually like 45 minutes of play time or 40 minutes of play time because it's like runoff. So there's not a million moments in a football game. And in the last 5 games, when the Jets dropped 5 in a row, certain things don't bounce their way. And if you look at the game on Thursday night, the Stroud fumble was recovered by the Jets. Breece's fumble went right back to him. The Jets have a field goal, or the extra point that they had, off the upright and in. Those small things will add up so big long term, because if that Breece ball doesn't go right back to him, the Texans immediately get 7 or 3 there.
Yeah, there's no other Jets in the vicinity.
None. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you need to play better, and the Jets don't. The Jets don't deserve to have a winning record. I know the Zerline stuff, but they are like a 5-4 football team, probably maybe 4-5. You can talk about what they deserve, but finally a game where actually things bounce their way. I think you made a joke that kick getting in the extra point that could change everything. Like from that moment on, just the momentum flips the entire year.
The football gods said even what they're doing is too cruel to us, and they let some of those bounces go away. And we're even saying this after Malachi Corley dropped the ball before the end zone. This is a good luck game for the Jets. This is, so listen, but that's the thing. It's like the same kind of game happens, and a couple things go your way or don't is sometimes the reason why you win or lose football games. And to your point, the Jets weren't playing great. That was not the argument. The argument was that they're playing well enough, and we think that they're going to be great, or they've shown glimpses of being great, like in the first Patriots game, or like in the Bills game, or like yesterday where you're like, wow, we thought this team was going to be awesome. They haven't been so awesome, but you want them to have a chance and elongate the season enough where these games matter down the stretch, and you can build on that and build some chemistry with a bunch of new guys and a quarterback, like you said, hasn't played in 500 days. But instead, people, you want to be like all the contrarian stuff. I get it. It's been frustrating. But like you said, Matt, let it play out. And then the funny thing that you said about, I wanted to go back to the sauce point. We just had this whole conversation about Garrett where, hey, beginning of the year, a little bit disappointing. And the stats are still fine, but just not the same impact. and we have to take a step back and be calm about it. And then we're having the same conversation with Sauce. So,
Dude, the Sauce one's different. It's a different thing that I don't think I've ever seen. Not just the Jets fan base, but any fan base jump off a player so quickly, and it's not everybody. And I think we all agree, yeah, we need Sauce to tackle better. Jeff Olberg called it out this week and said, "Hey, Sauce knows that he needs to tackle better," and then he kind of gives up a lame tackle that leads to 9 more yards the next day. So things aren't good in terms of his tackling. Additionally, we have his penalties, which some are fluky, but I mean, there's been games where it's like, how many times is the ref going to call number 1 on illegal contact, holding, or pass interference? So that is a problem. But if you're listening to this and you are one of the guys that, oh, we should trade Sauce, he's had 40 NFL games, and in like 30 of them, it ends up being 2 catches for 12 yards, or he doesn't get targeted. And yeah, there's the Cowboys game. There's a game like Thursday night. There's a bad game earlier in the year. If you start a process of drafting all pro players and shipping them off after 2.5 years, you are not going to be a winning team. The Jets don't have this happen to them a lot. And you don't want to run them out of town. I get social media stuff can be a little bit annoying sometimes. He's on the golf course. He's Twitch streaming. You want to be in the gym, whatever. He's going to get better. He's going to play
not like
fine.
an asshole. He's not like partying and like doing horrible things. He could go play golf in the off season, and he can play some video games. And Matt, listen, the Jets have the second ranked pass defense in terms of yards. CJ Stroud is 11 for 30 on Thursday with 190 yards. Like, where do we think this is coming from? Is it like Jalen Mills is locking everybody down in the secondary? I'm sure there's some really good Sauce reps that we're not seeing when he's not targeted. He made a couple plays yesterday. He had a play, a nice pass defense after the Devontae touchdown when the Jets were up by 2 scores. There's been some very frustrating plays, like the Patriots play last week. He let up the 40-yard catch to basically lose the game. He dropped the touchdown against the interception against the Vikings in the end zone. These are things, but again, like you said, the dude, literally the greatest start to a career for a corner in the history of the sport. And the Jets still have the number 2 pass defense in football, and it's not like the pass rush has been terrific the entire season. There's been moments of greatness. So, I'm happy that we have Sauce and our corners are terrific. And I'm glad the Jets, Matt, have been blitzing a little bit more too. And now with Reddick, the pass rush looked unbelievable last night or whatever. When the hell are we filming this on Saturday? On Thursday night. So
it was disruptive. Even when they weren't getting sacked, Will McDonald but 8 pressures and he gets held every time, by the way. Just very obvious.
There was one at the end that was tough, that when it was 21, also the same situation when Sauce had that deflection. There's like a clip of Will McDonald just getting fucking grabbed from behind.
And I don't know if Reddick will be here in 2025. But what I do know is you have Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, and when Jermaine Johnson's back, like a really cool core of edge rushers, both kind of unique in their own play style. And you throw an all-pro like Reddick in there, the rotation of those 3 guys is deadly, right? So
now Quinnen looks like himself again too.
Another one, man. So like I get it. We want more production out of Quinnen. There's been multiple times in his career where that start has been 2 sacks in 6 games. Where are they going to come from? And again, he just blew up the game. He didn't get credited for 1. He should have had 2.5 sacks. I think they credited the strip sack fumble to Clemens, which was insane.
I saw PFF actually had it right. They had him at 6 sacks, and I went back to look on Football Reference, and they have him at 5. I agree with you, Matt. It should be 6, which is a lot of sacks for a defensive lineman through 9 games. And to your point again, it's like, I wish the sentiment, and this is what we're trying to, and whatever, it doesn't matter in the world, and to root for the Jets however you want. If you want to hate everything, who cares? It really honestly doesn't matter, but it's fun, and we're talking about it, so we're going to talk about it. I wish the sentiment was more like Garrett Wilson is great, and then he has like a good to decent first 6 weeks, and you're like, he's great. I believe that he's great, and then he plays great, and you're like, fuck, that's awesome. I thought he was great. Instead, it's like, I don't know. Garrett Wilson's great. Oh, he's so overrated. He's the best receiver in the history of football.
Yeah. And it's not everybody does it, but you see it, like very large amount of people.
It's most people. And it's even like the guys on ESPN. It's like Brandon Tierney is like, he has this like, but you don't have to I don't know what this new thing, or if it always was like this in sports media, especially with people who are on the national level. where you just have to say insane dumb shit. Why do you have to say insane dumb shit? Just say the right take and people will like it. You don't have to be like the Jets and go on some crazy loud rant for no reason. The Jets are the worst team of all time. I'm back in after 1 week. What the fuck?
I think some of the respected, like I look at a guy like Dan Orlovsky, right, kind of memed out for the safety that he had. But I actually feel like when he is debating people on ESPN and he's talking about players, he's very honest, truthful, and he'll call out bullshit. But also, he's not going to say, the Jets need to blow everything up. They're terrible. He'll look at a play, break down the left guard getting murdered, and then he talks about Rodgers missing a guy downfield. Like, he'll call out everything. So I agree 100%. Like, one thing I need to do a better job of, and I can't stop doing it, is Brandon Tierney's tweets. I respected what he did last year when Rodgers went down. He's like, we're going to battle with Zach Wilson. I like the hype. The fact that he tweeted, I apologize to all the NFL who has to watch this game again in prime time. Then they pop off. Then he's on the fan the next day saying, this team can make a run. Apologizing for what? You don't make the schedule. The Jets don't make it either.
And what did the Jets do wrong on primetime? Let's go through their primetime games. They beat the Patriots 24-3. They had a great game. They lost the Bills 23-20. They played terrific. The Steelers game was tough, and then this game they won. So what are they, 2-2, and 3 of the 4 games are great? What the? Oh, there's the Niners. They lost also.
Yeah, I was
2-3.
Also, Tiki Barber. Oh, the catch wasn't that great.
Did you actually say that?
I swear to God.
I swear to God. What kind of take is that?
I hate these people. And the other thing, Mike, that I need as my therapist, because I don't go to therapy, and you're the only person I talk to outside of my family and our friend group, I am struggling with losing to the Patriot game. And I need to just do a better job of cutting off the past and moving forward and saying, like, we have to go 7-1, 6-2. Let's have a good end to the year. My brain keeps going back to Denver. And then I push it away and say, okay, it was a rain game. Denver doesn't look as bad as we thought. Let's move on. Minnesota. Yeah, we played a bad first half. That's fine. I cannot close my eyes at night and not think about we would be 4-5 right now if we just beat the fucking Patriots. And I can't stop thinking about it. And I need you to get me out of that mindset because I have to move on.
I'm sure you're thinking about your fiance this much before you go to sleep when you wake up. Dude, it's just the Patriots game is so annoying because the Broncos and Vikings games, they actually didn't play very well. The Broncos game, I don't know how the fuck they lost, but they really didn't play very well. The Vikings game, they did not play well, and they had a chance at the end and blew it. But like it didn't feel like this is the formula for our success. This is our identity. The Patriots game, you did all the things you wanted to do. You didn't turn the ball over. You moved the football, and you stopped the other team. They had less than two. They had 248 yards of offense. Like, you win that game. And we also had annoying stat where it's like 770 times that those things have happened. You have 350 yards of offense, no turnovers, hold them to 250, and no one ever lost. And we have to lose that game to an inferior team. And it's just and Rodgers got the ball and scored down one score late, and then you can't stop Brissett. But it's just
Are you? But you have the same thought as me. Like, I want to be happy, and I do think the Jets can make a run here.
Of course.
Let's get to 6-6. But
it just feels wrong.
I can't stop thinking about it. It's not a game that should have happened.
Because now we have so much pressure. And we talked about it before. There's a lot of luck involved in football. And the Jets, like, people are talking about the schedule. Like, there's not a lot of world beaters left, but everyone is pretty good. Yeah. All the teams that Jets play are at least solid teams and even performing that way this year. Like, Cardinals and Colts are around 500, Seahawks, a couple Dolphins games with Tua, Josh Allen, and then you have Trevor Lawrence and then the Rams. Like, it's hard to win 6 or 7 of these games. And you just put yourself in that spot because because of the games we just talked about, and they're nauseating games. Like, it sucks.
I think the path to the playoffs, and we'll talk about it more as the schedule starts winding down because it gets more clear. I think 7-1 would get you in. I do. I think 6-2, you can't have a loss to the Colts in that window. You can't have a loss to the Dolphins likely in that window, and you could only afford like the Rams or Cardinals to drop that. Like that's a game you can afford.
You have to lose to the NFC. Yeah.
You have to. If you drop 1 or 2, you have to drop it there. But I do think if you I'm like, the team that scares me is the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to figure it out and get to like 9 wins.
We need the
Obviously,
Broncos to lose every single game.
you need the Broncos to get 8 wins, honestly.
Yes.
And then then it doesn't matter what you do. If you get 8 wins, you don't deserve it. There's no tiebreaker that's going to get you in. So you need them to get down to 8. And then if they get to 9, obviously then you need 10. And
Yeah, like the Jets are clearly, I think, better teams than the Colts and the Broncos. Teams like that. And you can't, like, they need to fuck off. The Steelers, I wasn't really expecting. Maybe the Chargers will start losing some more football games. But yeah, listen, get to 9 wins. And it is what it is. I don't know if the Jets are going to go 7-1. Maybe they'll go 8-0, Matt. Maybe we'll run the table and have the greatest next couple months that we could have ever thought. But again, just for we've said this before in the show. I think my official record prediction was 12-5 going into the year. There's a 6-2 or a 7-1 in there. So maybe not 7-1. That doesn't really statistically add up, but we'll go 6. We'll say 6-2 actually is true. That's a real stretch of games.
So here's the Broncos' remaining schedule. You have the Ravens on the road. They have the Chiefs 2 more times. Now, the problem is one of those Chiefs games is the final week of the year.
Oh, we can't clinch.
That
could be a disaster.
Then you have the really cool part for us is you're going to have teams bury each other. So the Broncos in a 3-week stretch have the Colts, Chargers, and Bengals. So something's got to give, and we'll know closer to that time which domino needs to fall. We'll figure it out. But outside of that, I know you got to run somewhere in a minute.
Yeah, I got to go to some horrific workout class.
You got to bounce. We're going to do a episode with Buffalo Jet fan. We keep saying it. We're definitely going to do it. We're also going to do a tier ranking of the players through the halfway point of the year. Going to look a lot better after the Houston game because some guys that were struggling a bit.
Like where are we going to put Reddick? Like F? And now
I think he was like an NA part for Reddick and Devontae, but
fair.
We'll see. All right, buddy. Have a good one.
Nice win, baby. Come on.
Come on.
Let's do it. Jet up.